low-cost airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075.
Happy Friday! Yes, baby, it's Friday. Friday! It's been a short week. It's a really short week, yes. Jeff, you look confused.
I thought today was hump day.
For some, that may be every day, but today is, in fact, Wednesday, but it's my Friday. It's been a very short week. You know, I took Monday off, vacation in the sun. Yesterday was a really quick 2-hour show, and today, once again, a really quick 2-hour show. And then, you know what? I get to go to Chicago.
Why?
Not to see the band Chicago, but I do get to go to the National Restaurant Association Food Show. It's their 100th anniversary. It's going to be quite a party. It's actually really not a party. It's a big convention. Lots of free food and booze. It's a party.
So you have to go all the way to Chicago to get free food and free booze? I mean, couldn't you do that here locally? Don't you have friends?
Look, dude, I'm not Trey Chapman, okay? I don't have that kind of pull around here. I'm new to the Fort Worth area. So anyone who wants to get free food and booze here, bring it to the show. Come on in, have a seat. Well, okay, if you have a restaurant, a food service, any kind of food service, beverage service, bring it in. We'll try it. I'll give you my honest opinion in a nice manner, and hopefully we'll we'll enjoy what we have. So, all right. I'm not sure. I'm not looking at the phone lines here. See if they're not. Are they open? Okay. All right. So we got a couple of special guests calling here. First thing right off the bat should be in a few minutes here. But David and Danny Calmetti of Alabama Coasting are going to call in. We're going to talk about something. Well, if you've listened to the show at all in the last 2 weeks, you've heard over and over about the World Food Championships final table, which is coming up this weekend. I believe it starts on Friday and runs through Sunday. I think the actual event's Saturday, Sunday. But if you happen to be in New Orleans and you are lucky enough to get a ticket, call me. Give me the inside scoop. As a matter of fact, Derry O'Connor, you better be touching base daily. How are we going to work that out? We got to figure out how to do that. I guess I'll just have to record her calls and, we'll figure it out. Maybe you could be on a phone call with... No, we can't do it over Facebook Live from my phone, not on a phone call. All right, I'm going to have to ask somebody to help me on the technical side of that. But in the meantime, I believe we have either Dan or David, probably Dan, probably both on the phone here from Alabama Coasting. Let's see. Afternoon.
We're here.
Hey, you're here. You have arrived.
Sorry, we're trying to get the traffic.
Oh.
We're trying to get the auto driver thing to shut up.
Oh, well, hey, I can't drive without one of those things. I don't know why, but I'm not allowed to, I think. I'm better known as the king of U-turns.
I got a new navigation system, and I can't figure out. Just plugged it up for this trip to New Orleans, and I can't figure out how to shut it up. So I'm going to shut up and let David talk to you on the headset and be out of here.
I understand. So, David, we had a conversation, eons ago, like about 3 hours ago, and you gave me the lowdown on Alabama Coasting. I'd heard of you through Jameis Schiffer and the Innovative Group. But why don't you give everybody kind of a brief overview of what Alabama Coasting is, so I don't get it wrong?
Well, sure. Alabama Coasting, and the name comes from we view coasting as a state of mind. It is what we do when we're not working, and even sometimes when we're working. It's kind of, in Alabama and on the Gulf Coast, we're outdoors, we play hard, but family and friends, food are all important components, and that's where the name comes from. We primarily produce a visitor destination magazine here on the Alabama Gulf Coast, so we're kind of an ambassador for all the good things that are going on here in Alabama and on the Gulf Coast. And then when the World Food Championships came to Orange Beach 3 years ago, we liked what they're doing and signed on to help promote that, to be a media partner. And then last year we signed on as their state partner. So we've been responsible in 2018 and again in 2019 for all of the World Food Championship competitions that happen around the state. And so it gives us kind of an entree into the food sport world. Neither Danny nor I are chefs. We do like to eat food. And so, but it's given us kind of an interesting view into it and a crash course in all things cuisine.
Well, you talked about the all the food competitions or the WFC events in Alabama, but didn't you recently? I think Mark Conway from Family Meal. I think he went to Puerto Rico with the two of you, didn't he? And you did a competition over there and some other.
We did. We had the opportunity to go down for the Caribbean Food Championships down in San Juan, and just really to kind of represent and to help them. This is their seasoned barbecue organizers, but they've never done the World Food Championship. So we went down and kind of gave them a shoulder to cry on and some moral support, and dived in a little bit into the Puerto Rican cuisine and the food scene, and really quite remarkable. There's a lot of commonality between Puerto Rico and particularly the Gulf Coast in that, again, it's an outdoors, it's a family and food and fun environment, and we do also share an affinity for hurricanes, and so that gives that also builds in a natural resiliency. There's nothing quite like the morning after a hurricane when there is no power, and the couple of days after, you really understand the strong sense of community. Everybody's pitching in, everybody's grilling out the steaks so they don't go bad in the freezers that's not operating, and so you build a sense of community and a sense of resiliency, a bounce back. And one of the things that we got out of Puerto Rico was this bounce back. It's a vibrant economy. Yeah, there are still challenges in there. There were challenges before the storm. But there is a warmth and a welcoming. And I tell people that if you're going to go to the Caribbean, go to Puerto Rico. It's so easy to get there. No passport required. It's a U.S. territory, so it's just your driver's license. And you'll have every experience you could possibly imagine favorably in Puerto Rico. So that's my commercial for them.
I've never been to Puerto Rico, but I think I need to plan a vacation. Not because I just need a vacation, really. And Puerto Rico sounds close and affordable enough that I might be able to make that happen maybe sometime this year or next. So
we were down there working. Don't get me wrong. We were working the whole time.
Yeah. No, I know. Actually, Mark was kind enough to call in every day, Mark Conway, and give us kind of an update on what was going on. Where you're going. I know you went inland at one point because he lost signal for a long time, and you finally came back out, and he had signal right at the end of the show, so he was able to catch us up. I think that was the day before you were leaving. But how are things down there now? I mean, have you kept up with the repairs and restoration that's going on there?
There's still quite a bit of challenges, and again, particularly in the country. In San Juan, it is 25 new restaurants have opened this year in San Juan. So the city's back. So there's an element of it that the tourism economy is back, cruise ships are back, but again, they had challenges before the storm, and this exacerbated them. As an example, before Maria, they imported 85% of their food needs, which is something that nobody really thinks about. So after the storm, of course, the infrastructure was gone. It was even more dire. So one of the things that's resulted is this opportunity and this push to diversify their food crops, to get into more subsistence farming, family farms, those kinds of things. And we're working with them. We actually are going to bring we're hosting a kind of an economic summit here in Mobile in August, where we'll bring in the Chamber of Commerce folks and the agriculture folks from Puerto Rico to meet with our people and kind of see where the needs are, where the opportunities are, both ways, because they've got things that they can send us as well. So it's a struggle, but if our folks in Washington would get out of the way and help them instead of standing in the way and playing politics, that would be a very good thing.
Well, can I just tell you, I'm glad no one else in our sister studio here at Mojo 50 heard that, because that's all they do is talk politics, and we may have never gotten the mic back. So, but yeah, it is a shame that
I understand that. I'm just saying, both of you get out of the way.
Exactly. So, all right. Next question is, where are you headed right now? Because I think I'm not sure if I should be jealous or if, well, I am a little envious. I did not make it to this. I was not invited. Maybe I wasn't the squeaky wheel. I will be going to the NRA show, but you are headed to New Orleans to attend. The
final table of the World Food Championships.
Yep.
So it's the top 10 winners from November that are now going to compete in a new version of the final table. And it's kind of a winner-take-all $100,000 competition.
So, so let's talk about the new format. And again, this is the culmination of 2,000 events that lead into the main draw, basically, which was last November, I believe. And that was down in Orange Beach in Alabama. They again, there are 10 categories, 10 winners. They have about a 6-month period to get back to work and earn some money to pay off the time that they were down there. But then it's a 2-day event now, and they've changed the format because in the past it was basically the winner from each category cooked their dish, and it competed against the dishes in each other category head to head. So the steak champ cooked a steak, the chili champ cooked a chili, and you had a pastry chef and fish or seafood rather. Chicken, I believe, was one of the categories up until this year. But how did that format change? Because that, again, you pointed out to me as a chef, I was thinking that's really difficult to judge, right? Because they're not apples to apples. But you brought up some good points because the format's changed and it's still tricky, especially for the competitors.
Yeah, the World Food Championship methodology that they use to judge does allow for the playing field to be evened out a little bit because it's tough on the judges because their obligation is to judge each dish in a silo. So you get a dish in front of you and it's a cheeseburger, so you judge it based on its execution, based on its appearance, and based on its taste. And then you put that away and you judge the next dish without regard to what you just tasted or what you're about to taste. And so each of this formula allows a cheeseburger to compete against a cheesecake. Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of the four wins. So that's the only way it's been working. So this year, what they've done is they've created really a true, so your 10 winners, you got to the finals because you know how to cook chili. Now they're challenging you to be able to cook a dish, to be able to be more of a chef, or at least to have learned to be a chef for this event. Because there are 3 challenges at the beginning of the weekend, and each of them is tied into a traditional New Orleans-inspired dish. So the first round, for example, the challenge is Eggs Benedict. Well, everybody does Eggs Benedict, but it's a New Orleans-flavored Eggs Benedict, and all 10 have to compete and cook that. So, as we talked about the different challenges, if I'm a chili guy, am I just a chili cook, or am I a chili chef, and I can now convert and make that Eggs Benedict and not have my hollandaise break or my eggs too overdone, poached too well.
And that first challenge is pretty tricky, right? Just Eggs Benedict in general. People don't realize that hollandaise, as simple of a sauce from an ingredient standpoint as it is, it's not easy to make, right? First, clarifying butter without burning it or browning it too much because it changes the flavor. And then how do you, just making the sauce. The great thing is they had time to prepare. So everyone has had, a couple of weeks to prepare, learn how to make the sauce if they didn't know, and then also come up with alternatives if that's what they're going to do for their dish. But I was thinking Eggs Benedict, how creative could you be using the influences of that region with the Cajun, Creole, the amazing seafood in the Gulf there? The possibilities are endless. I mean, I literally...
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is some kind of crawfish Creole sauce. As a nod to the swamps there, but yeah, so you've got to be now creative, but not too far out of the box that it just gets weird.
Mm-hmm. That's true because it has to be inspired by the region, but it's still probably, has to be the traditional. Man, that's tough. Well, I mean, what can you change out? I mean, that's the question. The protein, obviously.
What do they call it? Deconstructed. So somebody's got to do a deconstructed eggs Benedict, and they'll get bounced.
You know what? That's funny because chefs would think that way, right? As a chef, I was thinking, so how can you make it? How can you make it unique? And I mean, there's a million ideas. You could trade out the Canadian bacon or ham. Let's just say it's ham, right? Take the ham out and put the crab cake in there or something, seafood cake. I mean, there are, again, a number of ways you could make this dish unique, yet close enough to the original that, hopefully it ties in. That's a tricky one to judge because, what are the criteria? It has to be the dish, right? Pie has to be a pie. The dish has to be a Benedict-style egg dish. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of fun stuff there.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things is we don't, we teach the WFC judging classes, so we know what that criteria is, but we're not sure what the criteria is going to be for the spinal table because they've got celebrity judges. They're not, they're chefs. They're in the business, so they know what they're doing, but still they will have been given a criteria, so that's going to be interesting too, what they're basing their judging on. So what's the next category, David? Because they're going to cut to 10 to 5. 10 to 5, and then the next day they've got to do a recreation of Tableau Restaurant's Redfish Bienville. And, of course, that's Dickie Brennan's restaurant. And that's basically it. They've got to now recreate a dish as opposed to a generic kind of eggs Benedict. They've now got to create something that's specific and well-loved and well-known, Redfish Bienville. So, again, my question is, are you trying to perfectly mimic the dish?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to create a version of the dish that captures the essence of the dish but adds something unique? Again, that's going to be an interesting.
Well, I think so. We had Mike McLeod in last week, the founder of the WFC, and I believe I understand that this is to get as close a proximity as you can to recreating the dish as accurately as possible. Now, that I don't think that necessarily includes presentation. I'm not sure, but as far as taste and flavor profile, that's the goal. And so here's where some of the home cooks may have an advantage, right? Chefs tend to overthink things. We dissect it and we really think about it has to have this classically, it needs to be done this way. Whereas some of those really amazing home cooks and the hobby chefs, they just taste food and they're like, oh, that's this, and this. Okay, it's simple. And I'm curious if that might play a role. But that's one. I just wish I was there to taste that dish like all day. If they haven't been down there for at least 2 days tasting that dish over and over, shame on them. That's all I can tell you.
Well, we plan on going by there and ordering that before Sunday, just so we know what we're supposed to be looking for, even though we're just in the audience. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting.
So the last, we had. I know you guys have a 1:30 appointment, and thank you very much for calling on short notice. I want to give any spotlight we can, in the remaining time till final table starts.
We've got time because we ordered our schedule.
Oh, nice, cool.
We're good for a little bit longer.
Okay, well, we got about 6 minutes left in the segment, and then if you want to hold over for 2 minutes and carry forward, we can. But here's the coup de grace for me. Mike McLeod was able to negotiate that. So they go into the final round, which is that same day, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now they narrow it down to 3 for the final round, but what is the prize for the final round? Because I'm telling you, when I heard this, I wasn't sure if I wanted the cash or the other prize if I had to have a choice, to be honest with the chef.
Well, I think I'll take both. But yeah, so the final round is you've got to create an appetizer that's suitable for Antoine's. So you've got to understand Antoine's menu. Antoine's Restaurant's the oldest family-run restaurant in the country. One of the oldest restaurants, the oldest family-run country. So the three people that make it to that round have to create an appetizer that is worthy of being on Antoine's menu, and in fact, it will be on Antoine's menu. And you said earlier, how long has it been since they've added to their menu?
So the restaurant was founded, I believe, in 1896, and they have not added a menu item in 100 years. So I mean, this is the restaurant famous for oysters Rockefeller, which no one has ever gotten their hands on that original recipe, actually. So if you go down there, maybe you could decipher what it is, because that would make us all. Well, they already have the lock on it, so it really doesn't matter. But I'd love to be able to recreate that dish. But to get,
I want to be able to come back to New Orleans at another time, so I'm not stealing nothing from Antoine.
No. I just mean decipher in your head. Dissect it and kind of figure out what's in it. I think every chef that's been to New Orleans has gone there and tried the oysters Rockefeller, and no one has accurately, not 100% accurately, been able to recreate that dish. There have been some that are close, but I've had it once there. I need to go back and try again. I think that's like a lifetime challenge for me. Try to see if I can figure out what that is. But again, 100 years, and now to have your name next to a dish that's on that menu, but more than likely forever, that's a really great accomplishment, and that goes to show you how much appreciation the entire association has, the people that participate in the WFC, but also in such a historic food town such as New Orleans, how much respect they have for this competition and the overall winner to be able to put their name on a dish on that menu. I think that's just a huge. Again, I don't know. It's the biggest prize I've ever heard of, to be honest with you.
It is. If I were a chef, that would be the biggest prize. One of the biggest prizes you look for is that. Holy cow!
Yeah,
and it's kind of like New Orleans.
Well, and Michelin stars come and fade, and James Beard Awards they're given out every year. But this is something I think it's really cool. I talked to Mike at length about how that came, not really how it came about, but his idea behind that and going forward. And I think it's going to be a very cool thing as the WFC continues to grow. But so we got about 2 minutes left. I don't want to go into it right now, but y'all like? Oh, well, we'll get it a little bit. Y'all like gumbo? Are you phyllo powder guys, or are you okra guys?
We're gumbo guys.
So yes,
we
right?
have a story about that.
Yes. I thought you might, because I know there's a bit of history as to, I think there's a discrepancy as to where gumbo may have come from. And I want to get your take on that and see if I can pick it apart. And then I'm very frustrated, and I bring this up often. There are two culinary terms from that region, Cajun and Creole, and they're intermixed and used kind of willy-nilly as if they're interchangeable, and that's not true at all. And maybe you could add some clarity to the definition of those terms as well, because even a few of my chef friends quite often incorrectly use those terms. So let's. I don't want to get into the gumbo. Are they using your shrimp? Because I'm telling you, all the best shrimp comes from Alabama. Are they using your shrimp down there? No offense, Louisiana.
Well, let's save the gumbo for next week. We're going to call back in after the. You want to do that? The best shrimp comes from the Gulf and from Mobile Bay, and the Gulf around Mobile does breed some good shrimp. But let's just say we're happy to promote fresh Gulf seafood from wherever on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah,
I tell you one thing we talked about when we went to Puerto Rico is we did take a bunch of good Alabama Gulf shrimp, and while we were down there, we cooked a version of New Orleans barbecue shrimp. But we took and went to all the chefs that were competing in the Caribbean Food Championship, and we borrowed a bunch of their local spices and local vegetables and local rum, and we used that to add a Puerto Rican flavor to our New Orleans barbecue shrimp, and it turned out very well. So that was a great gumbo, so to speak, of barbecue recipe, New Orleans recipe with Alabama Gulf shrimp and the Caribbean flavors from Puerto Rico. So it was a great mixture.
Well, we got a few seconds left. Do you so I'm a big fan of the Vanna Mae whites, the big white Gulf shrimp. Is that your favorite, or browns? I like them both depending on
I kind of like the sweeter shrimp, the white shrimp, a little bit sweeter.
All right, hey, we're gonna go to break. You guys gonna stay over for 2 minutes and just give me a couple minutes on the other side, or do you have to run to your meeting?
We're driving to Orleans. We got some time.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll be right back in 2 minutes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter @Food Biz Pro.
Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. Eric, we've been seeing Mojo guys over there and over here at Spoony talk about Atrantil for bloating. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
You're exactly right. The polyphenols are those molecules that we find in the Mediterranean diet. It makes vegetables and fruits very colorful. What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can actually stop inflammation. They can help you have more energy. They can help you with anti-aging. And polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Tell me how everybody should be taking Atrantil.
If you want to dose Atrantil, it's 2 capsules 3 times a day, basically with your meals. But if you aren't bloated and you just want that polyphenol intake every day, 2 to 3 capsules a day will work for you.
Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can help you have more energy, and polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony.
And we're back after a quick break. Welcome back to the second course, the super salad course today, I guess, but it doesn't matter. We're talking about Gulf shrimp, gumbo, and the final table down in New Orleans we got Danny and David here from Alabama Coasting. So we left off somewhere around gumbo. Actually, we were talking about shrimp. But you back, guys?
We're back. We're here.
Okay, good. Just, you know what? I hear poorly to begin with, so if I don't hear something right away, I think 2 things: either the signal's gone, or I went completely deaf. I'm not sure. It's it's fun at parties to mouth at me across the room, and I'm like, I can't hear you, and then I don't realize that there's ambient noise. I'm just looking at that person. I'm like, oh my god, I lost my hearing, and they're like, no, don't be stupid. But anyway, so I digress. Back to shrimp. I actually worked in Ecuador. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say we can talk about shrimp. I really wanted to follow up on your concerns. I'm concerned about you being concerned about this misappropriation of labels because I had the same feeling. In Mobile, one of the downtown festivals that started about 3 or 4 years ago is a huge Cajun cook-off, and while that's all fine, it's not really. Mobile's not Cajun. Mobile's Creole.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't ask my opinion. I gave it to them anyway after the fact, but they are used interchangeably, and they are wrongly used interchangeably. Although they're very similar, there's a lot of similarities, but as you know, Creole is really the city heritage, and Cajun is more of the country. The Creole influence is French, but European French, and the Cajun is French Acadians, Canadians that came down and actually lived out in the country more, and so the nuances were developed from that perspective. Am I close to
where
you need to be on?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, a bunch of Canucks went on vacation, went down the Mississippi River back in 1812, and ended up in Louisiana. That's where that's the Cajuns. The Cajun, became Cajun, and that's kind of to my understanding, and by you know what, I've looked up definitions, and even the definitions aren't all the same for Creole and for Cajun. But my understanding is that Creole would be the foods that have more influence from the West Indies and from the foods that were brought with the trade from Africa, and like okra. We spoke about okra a little bit earlier. And Cajun is more French influenced. So you get the cream sauces, etouffee, things like that, things that would have a heavier base, right? The roux, things like that. But again, it all kind of crosses over, and over the last, I don't know how many hundred years, 200 and something, 207 to be exact, it's all blended together. And I have to tell you.
And you're true, because if you think of it, the Creole cooking, who was doing the cooking in the households in the city of New Orleans?
Correct.
It was the blacks, the West Indies folks that came over, whereas out in the country, you cook for yourself. Mm-hmm. So you're, as a French Canadian, you just added whatever local ingredients you could find to the French style that you were already using. And so you added in, the crawfish and the other things that you found out in the country, but you kept it in that French style. Whereas in the city, the folks doing the cooking brought their West Indies, brought their Europe, added that to the European style of it. And so created that difference in flavor. But again, it's all, it all kind of blends together at the end. They're two harmonious yet distinct cuisines, and we're fortunate that New Orleans bred those for us.
I'm actually sort of confused, so I think we're going to have to use the next 3 or 4 days to do some research.
Oh, I think
really go in and
I think
dig into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and I'd be heartbroken if you sent any of the photos that you take of that wonderful food. I'm sure it. We've all been. Well, if you've ever been to New Orleans, the beignets are terrible, and it's just. There's no good duck confit down there, and it's an awful place to have to go to eat. I'm sorry that you're being subjected to this. But if you want somebody to go in your stead, I'll give you my, well, actually, you already have passes to the NRA show. You're just probably not going to make it up there. So, man, I don't even get to trade on that one. Yeah, send pictures, would you? I'll try not to cry openly in public, and I'll be positively envious.
We haven't talked about pairings either, but my understanding is that they often pair cocktails with these dishes too. So we may have to check that out as well.
So I have to give a quick shout out. We do every Friday afternoon. I have a lady, Cheryl Rich Heisler. She calls in. She has a company called Mixed Metaphors. And basically, she custom creates cocktails. She's a mixologist, and she consults with a lot of bars in the Chicago area. I'm actually going to meet her at the show this week. But if for any occasion, if you have a party, a themed party, a special seasonal party, you have a party for an anniversary for someone, she'll custom create a cocktail like to commemorate or to celebrate that couple based on their tastes, and it's so cool. She does a segment called "What Are We Drinking Friday" or "What Are We Drinking This Weekend?" I think we're going to change it to, and it's a lot of fun. But mixology and pairing drinks, cocktails, custom-made cocktails with food has become a whole new science. It used to be it was wine paired with food, like beer and bubbles, they go with everything. But these cocktails, man, they get complex. You have to wait 10 to 15 minutes sometimes. And when you watch them make one of these creations, I mean, they smoke the glass, while they're muddling the other components. And it's fantastic what they do nowadays. I'm always astounded. I'm not much of a bartender. I just get an old fashioned, or if they don't have that, I'll get a Cape Cod, basically, vodka and soda with a splash of cranberry, please. Everybody's got that. But this new stuff they're coming out with is phenomenal. I have a lot of respect for them.
Well, you're talking to somebody who drinks his mint julep. Hold the mint, hold the julep.
Hey, I'm a straight bourbon guy too. So, All right, so you're going to be down there.
And so I would just, while we're talking cocktails,
yes,
I would suggest you do a little Googling for something called Tales of the Cocktail.
Oh.
It is a New Orleans event in the middle of July, and it's an industry event, but since you're media, it may be something that you need to find a way to get on a road trip for that, because it's really, they actually they did an outreach to Puerto Rico, and we caught the tail end of the last day of their event in Puerto Rico. It happened to be sponsored by Don Q. Wrong, another tough gig. But it's really, it's an interesting week-long series of seminars revolving around the cocktail.
This is awesome. It's going to be yeah, go ahead.
It was outgrowth of continuing recovery efforts, getting folks back into to the recreational areas and to come into the service industry and that type of stuff. So it's kind of been an outgrowth of that recovery effort, and that's one of the reasons why they were in Puerto Rico. From that standpoint.
No, I'm going to go ahead and this looks fantastic. You know, I have to say it's probably a bit more informative and maybe even get to imbibe a little, try a few cocktails that are better than in Aspen every year. They have the worst wine competition where everyone gathers on the back patio of it's early fall. Everyone brings the worst bottle of wine they can find. They have a panel, which includes a master sommelier, and then they pass the bottle around the audience. And I believe Boone's Farm, what was it, Pina Colada wine won 2 years in a row. So kudos to them. But yeah, this has got to be a lot more fun, and what you learn, there'll be a lot more tasty.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, you had to bring up the worst wine competition in Boone's Farm of all things? Hey, Elisa.
But when you go to, if you go to those wine events where they do a blind, you bring a bottle of wine in a paper bag, and you taste the wines. You do kind of a blind sampling. Invariably, a lower priced wine will rate just as much as the higher priced wines because it fits a broader palate.
Yep.
And so. But it's fascinating how those things sometimes work. So,
yeah, it's like I like wine. I don't drink as much wine as I used to, but I do love wine. I got to go to a pre-release tasting for Jordan's 2015 Cabernet. It's the first time they've ever aged their wine in all French oak, and it was at Chef Kent Rathman's house here in Dallas. It was fantastic. What an event. He did 3 really nice courses. They had 3 different wines. I was thoroughly impressed. And, the fact that the Jordan patriarch, the man of the house, was there himself to kind of talk a little bit about the wines and entertain us. It was fantastic. But I can't always afford that 2015 Jordan Cabernet, so we'll look for some 14 hands tonight or something like that. Maybe something more along the $20 to $10 range, maybe, or not.
That's right.
No, so
that's good.
No. So I was going to ask you. So what time are you going to get into New Orleans today?
We're going to be in there in about 45 minutes or so.
Oh, okay, so I know you have your meeting and stuff, but what's your first food? When you go to New Orleans, is there a first food stop you always make? Is there one place you have to go?
Well, it's not a food stop. It's the liquor store.
Well, yeah, as long as you're having a liquid lunch, it can be considered a food stop as well.
Yeah.
We've
got a dinner meeting at a New Orleans staple, the Superior Seafood. Mm-hmm. So we haven't been there for a while. So we've got a meeting, the previous engagement set up there, and then we'll kind of see what the rest. And that's outside of the World Food folks. So this is another engagement we've got set up, and then we'll see what else is going on.
Well, hey, guys, I'd love to do a follow-up show next week sometime or, as soon as you can. And I know you can't reveal everything because I believe they gave the date. This is going to be a post-event. It's going to be edited and televised, the final table event, and it's going to air in August, I believe, on CNBC. Yeah. Is that correct? I believe I got that. I might have gotten one right. Dang, that's pretty good for not having notes on that. But so, of course, we can't reveal the final winner, and I'm sure I won't know anyway. But yeah, I'd love to follow up next week, and
we'll call in next week and talk about kind of some of the some of the things that went on, what the things that will be, the how people dealt with stuff. That's going to be interesting. We'll get a chance. We really only met these guys, so we'll have a chance to talk to them and get to know them a little bit better, and then kind of see how they go to war.
Well, I'm telling you, it's I'm really looking forward to it. I think there's some favorites. I'm not going to talk about them, but man, Nick Rickman, he's a very good chef. What an amazing story he has. So many, man, there's so many human interest stories behind the whole scene of cooking. Look, man, the state champion this year he restores pianos for a living. So I think,
and barbecue guys from Germany.
What? I'm sorry. What's that?
The barbecue guy is from Germany.
I know. Yeah, der kommt aus Deutschland. Yeah, he's from I lived in Cologne, Germany for a while. He's from Bochum. It's really close to where I lived, and I'm really excited. Hopefully, I'll be able to have somebody weaseled away into, well, I just sent him a message on Facebook, but I'd love to get an interview with him after the show and just kind of, he's not just, I'll tell you what, he does barbecue, but that man does a whole lot more as well. And his dish last year that got him the champion, that championship spot, the smoked leg of lamb, man, I've never thought about smoking lamb on the smoker, but I'm going to try it now.
Yeah. It was really interesting because the barbecue is the same way. They cooked the early rounds in barbecue. The competitions were all KBSE barbecue rules, and then they went into the top 10 competition and had to go to the EAT methodology, a whole different rule. So that's something for him to have won that category. That was hard work.
Absolutely. So yeah. And kudos to all of them, and a lot of these there are a few home cooks that are really tough. Oh, geez, what's her name? She was on the show last week. We did the interview. She won the chicken category last year. 42 wins in the last 10 years or something like that. That's crazy. And she's just a home. Yeah. I don't say just. There is no just. She's a stay-at-home mother and she's a home cook, but she's made this kind of her full-time hobby, and this is going to be a good competition. I'm again, I wish I could be there, but look forward to your report, and hopefully Derry O'Connor will give us a quick shout out, and I might even be able to get a hold of Mike McLeod at some point next week.
You're going to be working hard this weekend too in Chicago at the Restaurant Association.
Yeah, I'm going to be working through every booth, getting every bite, and trying every drink now. I usually gain like 4 pounds in 3 days there, the first 3 days, and then the last day I'm just like, is there anything I haven't seen or tried? Because I think I'm just going to talk to some people and walk it off, drink a lot of water and some coffee. But it's always a great show. It's the 100th anniversary, which makes it extra special this year. And if you're in the It's not inexpensive. It's almost a couple $100 for 4 days. If you're in the Chicago area, though, just do it. You can eat your weight in food there in 3 days, and then they have if you're 21 and older, they have the bar area now, it used to be a separate part of the show, but now it's all included, which is awful nice. So. Yeah, it's the National Restaurant Association's Hotel, Motel, and Restaurant Show. It's by far one of the. It's funny because I just mentioned Derry O'Connor's name on the show because she's going to the final table to report for us, and I saw the name come up. I thought you were going to say something important. She goes, "Sorry, butt dial." I'm like, okay, we'll wait for the report next week then. All right. We can continue talking. I have nowhere else to go. I'm going to sit here for another hour and 12 minutes to be precise. If you, do you need
We are. I don't know whether we are, but we're breaking up a little bit. So okay. I think let's call this a conversation, and we'll check in with you on Tuesday, and maybe call you. We need to talk to you Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday.
I really appreciate it, guys. All right, so Danny and David Calmetti from Alabama Coasting, and I look forward to your next call. Have a great weekend, and again, just enjoy every minute, and wish everybody luck. Take care. All right, so, man, now I'm really, 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 you know what I want now? I want a big-ass crab cake, a big mug of beer, and I want some beignets afterwards. Beignets. You know beignets? You don't know beignets? How could you not know beignets? You ever seen the movie Chef? Anyone out there seen the movie Chef?
Beignets from Café Du Monde?
Yeah, in Café Du Monde, they're good. They're real famous.
Yeah.
They're not the best, but they're really, really, really good.
Because I want one.
I can't tell you. Actually, I have to tell you, the from Cafe du Monde, that's actually, if you want the quintessential iconic beignet, then you go there. What's cool, so beignet is a very small donut. It's basically, you make a dough, you let it rise like bread dough, but then you cut it into donut, small, square, rectangular pieces, about 2 inches by 2 inches, and then they fry them. And they come out this slightly darker than golden brown. It's the most beautiful color that a chef knows. But the best thing is, it's like, you ever had Indian fry bread with like a mountain of powdered sugar on there? Well, that's what they do. There's so much powdered sugar on there, it's like an inch thick, that if you get too close and you inhale, you and you end up spitting basically beignet over everyone. But that, I'm telling you, that and a cup of chicory coffee. So, chock full of nuts, they became famous, that brand, not because of just the coffee, but that the coffee that's been blended in that region, they add chicory root to it. And it's fantastic. It gives this I think it's a much fuller flavor without any caffeine, which for me, as you know, I can't have too much caffeine because I'll run around the studio and never get anything done except ask a bunch of questions repetitively. So, but yeah, if you go down there, you definitely go to Cafe du Monde. It's in this like walking area too. There's these little shops next to it that you can just enjoy so many other things. I'm trying to think what else is iconic there. Oh, blackened redfish. If you don't eat blackened redfish while you're there, shame on you. Chef Paul Prudhomme, iconic culinary member of the Louisiana coastal area, just Louisiana in general, and just a great representative of the culinary history of the United States. When his blackening seasoning, don't ever buy blackening seasoning again. You can buy his blend, you can buy Emeralds. They're all good. Just go online and look up original blackening spice Paul Prudhomme. It gives you the recipe. It's not expensive to make. As a matter of fact, hey, here's a kitchen tip. Here's something because I want to get to the next segment because we're going to have dessert early. We're going to have a dessert in the third course instead of the entree. We're going to turn the entree around and make it our wine down Wednesday at the end of the hour. Instead of buying spices in the jars that you get, if you, they're very expensive. Like you buy, I buy chipotle powder, right? And there are only a few companies that typically carry that brand, a couple of brands that carry that in their lineup. And so I go to buy it, and it's like, $7 for a little thing of chipotle powder. That's like ground up smoked jalapenos, really? So what I do is, if you go to Central Market is a great place to go, Whole Foods. But if you go to a place that has spices, ground spices in bulk, is it Sprouts? Sprouts, I don't know if Sprouts has it, but Fresh Market, I think, is another one. They have them in Bentonville and other markets here, not markets, grocery store markets in other markets in other regions. You go there and you can literally buy an ounce or like a baggie, a dime bag, I guess you'd say. But you can buy a little bag full of whatever spice you need, which would weigh out at about an ounce, for like literally 60 cents to $1. It's amazing. It's so inexpensive. But the thing is, when you get them home, you want to seal them, put them in a sealed container that has a good rubber gasket or something on there to keep the air out. Spices don't last forever, folks. Yeah, believe it or not, they don't. I know they come in a little tin, and that tin lasts forever, but the spices don't last forever. They last. The flavor fades, and the color fades, and they just become lackluster. So really, there is an expiration date on them for a reason. It is not because McCormick Spice Blends needs to sell you another jar of paprika, because I always have I have like 15 jars of paprika, turmeric, and powdered ginger for some reason, because wherever I go, I'm doing a party, I need that. I don't have it, and they accumulate. That and cinnamon for some reason. Oh, and poultry seasoning. What the hell do you even use that for besides dressing? I don't know. But they have an expiration date for a reason. And we had a family member one time who shall remain nameless that was moving. And there were spices in their cabinet dating from the 60s. And this was in the first decade, the end of the first decade of the middle of the first decade of the 2000s. Spices don't last in your cupboard for 50 years. Yes, it was a cool, neat little tin. Dump the stuff out, wash it out, and keep the tin. Anyway, that's just something to tell you. And a lot of things you can do at home. I used to toast coriander seeds, if you've never seen them. So coriander, which is actually cilantro. The seed is about the size of a... it's a little smaller than nutmeg, about half the size of nutmeg. And they crunch up pretty well, especially if you toast them. You can grind them up, and it gives you the best, ground, it's an amazing smell. Coriander is amazing. It's one of my favorite seasonings, but people don't know how to use it because it's typically only in Southeast Asian, far South Asian dishes like in India. They use it in rice. It's a fragrant, aromatic. But anyway, I digress. When toasting spices, you can toast cumin, you can toast coriander, you can toast other spices in a skillet. Once they're toasted, I let them cool. The toasting process brings out the oils, which gives the flavor and aroma. So I take those, let them cool on a paper towel for a few minutes, and then put them in a spice grinder. And if you don't know what a spice grinder is, it's the $12 coffee bean grinder that you get at the grocery store, or in the section where they have all the housewares, or you can go to whatever your favorite big box retailer is, whether it's Walmart or Target, doesn't matter. But you can buy those. They work really, really well. And they're very inexpensive. They last forever. The only thing is, after grinding one spice, then you want to wipe it out and clean. You don't have to clean it all the way, wash it in water, but wipe it out so that you don't have that residue when you grind your next flavoring. So anyway, yeah, that's a really inexpensive way to do it. If you buy the whole seeds, especially at your local, or the whole spice at your local market, instead of buying the pre-ground form, amazing. It's like even cheaper than the ground spices. So, all right, so we got a lot of things to get to today. As a matter of fact, check this out, will ya? Because I haven't looked in the box yet. I did open it, and I might be lying. I might have looked in here anyway. I'm lying. I looked. All right, Nostalgia. I saw Nostalgia on the outside. I was like, Nostalgia. That's SpoonyWildRice.com, by the way. Nostalgia. They have cultivated and wild rice, wild rice, as in wild rice. It's the only native ground in North America. It is a superfood in itself. It has 13 to the 14 amino acids. It's almost a complete protein. It is gluten-free. It is high in, it's really nutritionally very, very valuable. It's got no fat. Well, of course, because it's a grain, right? But look, I don't like quinoa. I don't like some of the other things. Wild rice is a great substitute. But they have some other really cool stuff. They have a winery, and then they also make these wonderful jellies. This doesn't have wine in it, but it sure does have some, it's jelly. It's stout beer jelly.
Weren't you going to save this for the next segment?
No, I wasn't.
Really? Okay.
No, because you know what I got? So, because I got to talk about the food show still. So.
Oh, okay.
And who knows what I'm going to talk about next, because we're doing it backwards. Next is dessert, right? We're going to talk dessert next.
Oh, I love this kind of meal.
I know, because I have this little mini cookie because I ate all the other little mini cookies. I have one left that I need to. I told him I give him a shout out because these things are so good.
Yeah.
He's a really nice guy and a badass chef, so I need to give him a shout out. But that'll be dessert, and then we may or may not have some other stuff I need to get to in a package here, a suspicious package.
Copy.
Sorry, Brandon, you're not the only one that gets suspicious packages around here. And my Friday came early, so I win. Just saying. All right, so Nostalgia. They have stout beer jelly. They have jalapeno pepper jam. We have some of that already. I'll eat almost a whole jar of that. But this one right here, raspberry honey wine jelly. I am going to try that. I'm going to try that in the break. I'm going to get some. If I don't have bread, I'll put it on a cookie. I don't know. They have all sorts of wonderful stuff to get. Oh, the maple sugar good. I'm out of that for my coffee. We have wild rice seasoning. That's sodium free, by the way. And last but not least, Northwoods jerk seasoning. Oh, man, we were just talking about the Caribbean and all the wonderful foods and flavors. Jerk. And yes, I know there's not a trash can back there, but I'm going to do it anyway. Jeff always looks at me like I'm throwing trash on the floor. No, I'll pick it up on the way out, dude. It's all right. It's not like it was dirty. Anyway, if you go to Nostalgia Wild Rice, that's SpoonyWildRice.com. Use the promo code GRILL10. You get 10% off your entire order, or their grill packs right now, which includes all of these wonderful seasonings. And look, it's summertime. Teach your kids how to grill. It's a rite of passage. It's an American pastime. And by grilling up north, I mean barbecue. Down south, we say smoking meat, right? get some chicken legs, grab some seasoning, a little Nostalgia wild rice, cook it up beforehand, keep it in the fridge all week long. It's wonderful in salads. Actually, mixing grains into green salads. I never thought about that before until I actually went to a restaurant like 6 years ago. And I was like, brilliant. It's a great filler. That and a little protein on top. It's a complete meal. Anyway, that's MiNostalgiaWildRice.com. We love you, Jay. Lori, thank you very much for being so loyal to us. And I can't wait to try all this stuff here. We do have a grill downstairs. So when I get back next week, I know what I'll be cooking. Oh, and Summy Schick, man. You brought me some really nice pork belly, about 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds worth. It's wattle, W-A-T-T, and I'm telling you what, W-A-T-T-L-E. This is a very special pork belly. I will not let it go to waste, sir. When I get back next Tuesday night, I will defrost it. I will put it in I'll figure out how to cook it here somehow next Wednesday. Thursday, you're coming by. We'll try it on the air. Again, we're going to go to a quick break. The third course, we're switching gears, though. We're going to go to dessert first, then go back to the entree, which today is going to be wine for Wine Down Wednesday with Laura Geen. Stay tuned. Tell your friends and your family. Listen or starve.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Alabama lawmakers have passed a near total ban on abortion. The bill would make performing an abortion at any stage of pregnancy a felony.
The measure does contain an exception for the health of the mother, but there's no exception for sexual assault or incest. Critics of the measure have promised a swift lawsuit if the ban is enacted. Kentucky, Mississippi, Ohio, and Georgia have recently approved bans on abortion once a fetal heartbeat is detected.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart, the Alabama bill has been sent to Governor Kay Ivey, who will decide whether to sign the measure into law. President Trump paying tribute to the nation's law enforcement and remembering fallen police officers. More from White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
On the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol, the president attended the annual Peace Officers Memorial Service, where he remembered the officers killed in the line of duty.
These brave heroes did not put on the uniform for praise or for glory. They wore the badge because it was their duty, their calling.
He described the fallen officers as heroes of law enforcement. The president also called for an end to rising hostility toward police and said cop killers should face the death penalty. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Also at townhall.com, correspondent John Gambrell reports the news that the U.S. Embassy in Iraq is ordering non-essential staff to leave Iraq is a sign of escalating tensions.
This decision to push the non-essential staff out of Iraq is, again, another sign of how serious the current troubles are between Iran and the United States. Typically, they evacuate embassy staff when it comes to a natural disaster or because of armed conflict.
President Trump scheduled to meet with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo this hour to discuss Iran. On Wall Street, the Dow is ahead 153 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now. and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-218-6473. 800-218-6473. 800-218-6473. That's 800-218-6473.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's Chef Patrick Mosher. We're in the third course today, which we're going to switch it around. We're going to do a little dessert. And I need to give a little shout out here. A couple of weeks ago, actually a week ago, this last Sunday, Chef Randy White and I, he hosts Into the Fire right here on Spoony Radio every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. We were guest judges at, we went to the Jelly Queen's secret hideaway kitchen, not really, off of Lover's Lane in Dallas. And they had a few people that had provided snacks for the group that was there getting trained for their EAT certification. That's EAT. It's a certification for judging the World Food Championship competitions. And the founder, Mike McLeod, the founder of the WFC, was there, taught the class. It was fantastic. Summy Schick, congratulations to you for getting your certification. But one of the providers there, one of the people that brought these tasty snacks for us and treats, it was Chef John and Rachel Cohen. They were both there, but Chef John was the one I spoke to. They're from JR's Cookie Cottage, and they're you can find them at jrscookiecottage.com. That's jrscookiecottage.com. It's a veteran-owned business. Chef John's a really nice guy, and I had like 6 cookies that I took, all different flavors, but I've eaten them over the week and a half since I was at the event. So I'm going to eat the last one. I'm going to try the last one on the air. He had the most unique, flavored cookies, these combinations. This one is a brandy espresso mix with chocolate and hazelnuts. So try this one here real quick. I'm sure it's, yeah, that's, so after 10 days being in the wrapper, looks like it came out of my pocket, the poor cookie. Wow, that is really good. So, espresso for me, I love the taste of coffee. I love caffeine. It just doesn't like me very much. But a lot of times when you put espresso in a dessert, it overpowers everything. Like if you make a chocolate mousse, I like to put some espresso powder in that. Or, you take the espresso powder, mix it in with whatever liquid and add it to the mix. But if you overdo it, it overpowers everything. This is a great balance. You get the hazelnut is the finish. You get a touch of the brandy. The espresso and chocolate are all really balanced. Yum. All right, so again, look them up online. That's jrscookiecottage.com. Chef John and Rachel Cohen. Really, really good stuff. Wow. I want more of those now. John, come on the show. Bring some more. All right. Yes, I am also glad to see my computer back. Yay. Can I tell you? I thought I felt naked without my phone for a while. I'm not anti-technology. I'm just challenged, right? But without my computer, I tried to work on an iPad that has a great keyboard with it. And it has the full Office suite on there, or it did. And I was trying to complete a document for a consulting client that I had with my partner, Jeffrey Klein, also Food Biz Pro Consulting, and we have a company called Mono Management. It's a food service consulting and management group. Anyway, we're doing this presentation. He's like, I gotta have it tomorrow morning. I gotta have it tomorrow morning. And I'm trying to work on a spreadsheet, just one spreadsheet, just one. But unfortunately, in order to work on an iPad in Excel, you have to be able to save a copy of the document to be able to work in it. And to be able to save it, you have to have a current subscription to Office 365 or whatever it happens to be, whatever it is. Anyway, well, it wasn't just that. I had to update my iOS, which took 20 minutes. I had to update this, that, and the other. And then because I hadn't updated the iOS, even though I had bought the new subscription, it would sync them between my laptop and well, I guess, but anyway, it wouldn't sync from the password from the cloud to my iPad. So I spent 3 hours yelling at an iPad. I looked like a crazy man. Good thing I was sitting in a conference room all alone because, it was not a pleasant experience. But I'm telling you, being without my computer, especially when I needed to do work, I've been more frustrated, but that was one of the most frustrating days of my life. And then I took it in I'd taken it in that day, and I picked it up the next morning because or maybe 2 days later, it was supposed to be done. And and John, thank you so much. I have your card here too. I need to give him a shout out because if you're in the Fort Worth area, Fix It Planet. John Ford is the owner there. He and his wife Cassandra, fantastic people, great service. He had parts overnighted for me the night before last, so he could get it done tomorrow, so I could take this with me to Chicago because he knew I was probably going to pull my hair out, shave my head, I don't know, join the Christians or something. But thanks again for all your help, and he's going to be on the show in a week or two. John was he's a very interesting character who has a past history in radio that goes way back to like the mid 90s, early 90s when, podcasting wasn't really there, but these random kind of show formats were, and he produced shows from all over the world. So that's going to be a really fun conversation. And plus we'll just give him a little exposure here, hopefully on Spinny Radio to the local listening audience. But I got another package over here. You know what? So if you don't know, we have a sister channel over there, and this guy Brandon, he gets these suspicious packages on Friday. It's called Suspicious Package Friday. And it's not very suspicious looking. It's actually quite harmless looking, quite novel, or not really very novel at all. But this came from Casey Wetzel, who is what's your Twitter handle is the something pickle, the pickled squirrel. There you go. Oh wow, check this out. So there's a card. I saw the card. I didn't actually look but. It says, greetings. Thank you again for answering my foodie questions and having me on the air with you. My daughter caught this segment and used what she learned in health class. That's cool. Well, I'm glad I could help. I was so proud. I'm slowly shopping for Suspicious Package Friday. Yours had to come first because melted chocolate is no fun. And what she sent are these amazing Evolution Artisan Confections truffles. So we'll talk about those in a minute. So these chocolates are done by a one-man operation in Valparaiso. Chef Richard Cusick is a CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, not that other government thing. That's not that acronym. A CIA grad, as well as a European trained pastry chef. This man is so good at his craft and here's what they're in the box. So I love these flavors, by the way. There are 2 Bananas Foster truffles. There are the black and yellow ones. There are 2 tequila lime. 2 jamberry. He makes all his jams from scratch, by the way. There are 2 blood orange, 2 Kahlua and coffee, and 2 imperial stout. Oh, I think we got to start there. And then she sent this really cool thing too. Check this out. So if you're watching, you can see it. If you're there you go. All right. If you can see it, there you go. Read it out loud. Tell your friends. It's this big kitchen towel, right? It's pink, so I'm like, pink kitchen towel. But when you read it, it's a salt shaker that has a label on it that says, the B word, I am the secret ingredient. Now that's funny. I need a t-shirt like that, to be honest with you. I'm sure they make them. Probably not in pink, though, not my color. All right, so I'm going to try some of these truffles. And I need to look at the card so I can discern which is which, because the box did get slightly shaken up. One of the cool things nowadays that I find fascinating with chocolate work is the amount of the decorative artwork that goes into making these. I mean, chefs, these chocolate, no, I don't want to say chocolatiers, but these masters of dessert, they use airbrushes and paint edible paints on the chocolates. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And I'm trying not to destroy this box, folks. I'm trying to be patient. I'm not a patient person sometimes, especially when it comes to chocolate. Open up. Give it to me. There we go. So we're gonna try. All right, I'm gonna have to save. All right, I think we'll go with. I'm gonna try one of each. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm being a sugar coma here, guys. So everyone watching at home or listening, tell your friends, family, share and like. Host a watch party. Okay, I'll pay you in truffles. I'm gonna try. The lightest in there is probably going to be the Bananas Foster. All right, so that's the black and yellow one. So Bananas Foster. So yeah, it's. I'm going to have to take a picture of this box first before I destroy it. I'm going to take a picture and post it, and y'all can see what I'm talking about. These are beautiful chocolates, and again, the way that they paint the chocolates nowadays, they airbrush them, so that every chocolate's unique, right? Every chocolate has a slightly different. There we go. I need to put the label up there so we can see it. All right, folks, I'm getting the hang of this thing. I might be on Instagram before the end of the year if I'm clever. So we're gonna get the name on there. And these are beautiful chocolates. I'm gonna post these again. This is Evolution Artisan Confections. He's in Valparaiso, Indiana. Oh, you know what? If you're in Indiana, hopefully you be coming to the food show. I'm gonna try and contact you. Casey, if you know how to get a hold of Chef Cusick, I mean, I can call the shop, but if you know him or you see him, give him a heads up. I would love to see him at the food show. So I will try to contact him, and I don't know why he wouldn't go. It's not that far a drive into Chicago, and I would think that they'd want to see all the new stuff coming up out in the world. And we're going to talk about the food show here in a second, because the hotel, motel, and restaurant show done by the National Restaurant Association, yes, the other NRA, is quite impressive, to be honest with you. It's they have some 6,000 exhibitors, I think. It takes up almost all of McCormick Place. And if you've never been to McCormick Place, which is the convention center in Chicago, then you're missing something. It's quite a sight to behold. Oh, that's a good picture. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so hungry. Jeff, you want a truffle? If you get a minute, you can send somebody to get a truffle for the three of you. Anyway, Matt won't eat when he doesn't eat chocolate, doesn't eat sweets. But the food show. This is the 100th anniversary of the National Restaurant Association's Hotel, Motel, and Restaurant Food Show in Chicago. And I've been to, I don't know, a number of them over the years. I used to go every few years. And I stopped going for about 10 years. Almost 10. I think it was 7 I didn't go. And I'm not sure the particular reason was. I think I was disenfranchised. It was a little bit. It seemed like it was just big operators. There were some smaller companies in there. Some innovators that were not multinational conglomerates. But I decided to go again, and maybe it was just because I went from being a full-time working line chef to more of the consulting side. So only a couple hard months of opening, and then take a little bit of a break, not from cooking necessarily, but from that daily grind, and then go back into another opening maybe a few months later. So I don't know. I didn't know if I didn't feel challenged. I didn't need to be challenged because I was constantly working in this kind of creative zone. But when I went 2 years ago, I was really trying to grow the consulting business. I was actually growing the consulting business, and it was a fantastic experience. I went all on my lonesome. I was there. I missed the first day. I was there the first, second, and third. I did miss one day, I think, half day anyway. But it was a fantastic show, and it had grown immensely. It had always been a big show. I mean, McCormick Place is like, I want to say it's 5 acres under roof. 5 acres is a lot, folks. If you don't know what 5 acres is, it's 282 by right at 900 feet. So figure that out. It's big. I know the measurements of my property, so that's about right. It's or 232 feet by 900 feet, somewhere in that area. It's a lot of ground, and I think last year when I was there, we were there. It was actually the first recordings we'd ever done for Spoony Radio. We had the sales director Tom was there. We had our VP of sales. I was there. Doc was there. Michael Pelka came and visited us there, and we had Tom Petiti, who hosts Festa Italiana. Great show, by the way. If you haven't heard it, he's got a dynamic show. It's really fun. My favorite episode was one of his first shows where he had his mother call in and walk him through how to make meatballs, and it's a very endearing episode. It's really a good one. So anyway, we were there, and Doc had never been to a food show. Tom had never been to one, and the others that were Tom and what's his name, Paul Petiti, had not been to one. So when we got there, it's kind of overwhelming. It starts out really slow in the morning. People are trying to still get their booze together, and these things range from a modest, this 6-foot banquet table with one chair stuck behind it, with no logos or anything, just or the paper logo that they put up there for your company as part of the booth rental to identify your space, with no, and maybe just a tablecloth, and they'll sit there all day with whatever their widget is, to some of the most grandiose event booths you've seen. And I know some of the technology conventions, of course that's because it's tech, but as far as food goes, these people build kitchens in the middle of a convention center with ventilation that goes to the roof. It's amazing. So what is it? The Impossible Burger by Beyond Meat was one of the companies that was, I think we're right next to them, and they had I want to say the best tasting plant-based burger I've ever had. It was delicious, and they had all sorts of different variations of it. It was really good. This year, I noticed there's a new company. Well, it's actually one of the old companies, but they have a new product. It's a mock chicken product, and you're thinking, oh, mock chicken, what is that? Well, it used to be gluten. They would you boil gluten and it forms a big ball, and then you cut it into chunks, and then you shred it, and it shreds just like chicken does, and it has the texture of chicken, and however you seasoned it, that's what it would taste like. So we used to, at a place called the Vegetarian Zone in San Diego, we would take those, batter them, and roll them in sesame seeds and fry them, and there were sesame chicken strips, and they were awesome. I'm not sure if they can use gluten anymore to do that, but we'll find out at the show. I'm going to locate them. But the interesting thing is that has now made its way onto the menu at everybody's favorite chicken place, Chick-fil-A. Now has a plant-based, at least it's coming soon, sometime I think in June or July this year, they're going to start releasing a plant-based chicken product. Interesting. I'd like to say I don't have to try it, but I do have to try it. I mean, I'm going to have to. So, all right. The show. I want to eat these truffles so bad. I really do. I'm going to try one. I'm going to try the banana. I told you, Jeff, you want a truffle? Come in here. Oh, man. Okay, Jeff, that was the rudest thing I've ever said. Please forgive me. You're like the nicest guy ever. And, man, I'm a number 1A class A jerk. Yep. I owe somebody else an apology off the air today. I'll talk to him later. But anyway, this Bananas Foster looks so good right now. It's got to beat the Rolos I had a few minutes ago that substitute as my lunch. So let's try it. Ooh, wow. All right. Thing about chocolates is you never know what to expect on the inside, whether it's going to be liquid or a more solid ganache type filling. What's cool about this has a very thin crown on it, the outer layer, and then this really creamy, rich center. But the bottom of it it's thicker. The chocolate's thicker, and it's tempered just right, which means it's rehardened to its original form, or well, the form that we buy chocolate in. But you have to melt chocolate and then teach it how to recrystallize, right? So you temper chocolate. You actually add room temperature or shavings into chocolate that's been melted to just over 100 degrees or just under 100 degrees, and I think it's 108 actually. And then you seed it. You have to introduce that shape, right? The crystal shape, and that way it can become brittle again. It's very cool. So, but that bottom bite is crunchy. It's just thick enough to have kind of a crunch to it. It's not so thick that when doing that you crush the rest of the truffle, which is really good. This is really good, really balanced. You can tell that this is actually the Bananas Foster. So, oh man, that's really good. Hey, wow. I know it's rude to eat on the air, but Chef Richard Cusick, that's some good stuff. Again, that's from Evolution Artisan Confections in Valparaiso, Indiana. And try and catch you at the show. I'll try and catch up with you sometime today or tomorrow to see if you're going to be there. All right. So the food show. I only got a few minutes left. We're going to go to Wine Down Wednesday. I can't waste time talking about the food show when we're talking about wine. But they have a big kickoff event every year. I didn't go last year to the event, but we did go after one day. We were invited to somebody's calling. Sorry. Hey, if you're calling, call back later. I'll be off the air in 30 minutes. So we were invited to a private event that was basically a grand tasting. All these chefs from around, they had a unique dish. And if you've looked on Instagram, it's quite embarrassing. Actually, I believe that Brad Stagg's got a really funny picture of me drinking a Bloody Mary that had about 16,000 food items sticking out of it, and none of which were bacon, by the way, which was not cool. But the show is definitely grandiose, to say the least. Again, 5 acres under roof. They have oh, here we go. So they have new products, right? They have these innovation, kind of an innovation area where all these new highlighted products are. And one of them that I saw this year, they have Dynapro makes a high-speed commercial blender, but it has a vacuum. So it actually works under a vacuum situation. I don't know what you need that for. I'm going to try it out, though. I'm going to check it out at the show. And what else do they have? They had some cool stuff in here. Oh, they have really nice knife kits and stuff like that. I need to probably save my money and get that. Yeah, these are all cool stuff, but that wasn't the one I was looking for. There was a really cool high-tech unit that I was looking for. I'd seen last year. They're basically these small refrigerated cabinets. They're coolers, but you grow your own herbs. So, not herbs. And if you notice, a lot of chefs now use these microgreens. So basically, it's the sprouted green. And before they actually develop much of a leaf, it's mostly stem. Then you harvest them. They could be between like a half an inch and 2 inches tall. One of my favorites is called popcorn, the popcorn shoots. And these are the actual shoots of the popcorn plant. I mean, when you say popcorn, it's the corn that is best suited to popping. And they're this brilliant yellowish, this golden yellow, almost a hint of green to it. They make a beautiful garnish, but they taste very unique. They have a slight corn flavor, but they're kind of buttery. It's fantastic. But these cabinets, these growing cabinets, are phenomenal. The technology, the fact that you have different ambient temperature and humidity control for each chamber. It's just some really cool stuff. I will be posting pictures. As a matter of fact, Halton Hoods. Is it Halton? Yeah, they do these big kitchen suites, right? It's so cool. Kitchen suite is where they build one big solid. You basically arrange all of your kitchen equipment in one oval or line, or a big rectangle, and they build a giant stainless steel container to hold it all together in one solid, seamless piece. It's the coolest thing ever. Anyway, we got about a minute left in this segment. I'm really trying to get to Wine Down Wednesday without eating any more of these truffles because I'm really craving chocolate right now. I should not have done it. Yes, sir.
Have you talked about the towel yet?
No, yeah, I did. You know what? I didn't read it last time I said the B word, but basically, folks, yo, bitch, I am the secret ingredient.
Yeah.
I am. I'm not sure if that's the good secret ingredient or the bad secret ingredient, but I think if you ask various people, they would give you different answers.
Right.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm the bad one for you today. I'm very sorry. I'll shine your shoes.
I just want a truffle.
You can have a truffle. You can have a truffle. Anyway, so last year I went to look at the kitchen suite, and I saw Thomas Keller, perhaps the greatest chef in North America to ever live. Looks like we're out of time this segment. Okay, dessert is done. We're going to go backwards, have the entree next. Wine Down Wednesdays coming up with Laura Geen from, where is that? Oh, Ramo de Olivo up in Bentonville, Arkansas. One of my friends and a great wine connoisseur. We'll be right back. Hang on for two.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter @FoodBiz.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone. RIDUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism, so you're burning more.
Yeah,
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com. RIDUzone.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
And we are back for the fourth and final course today in reverse order. We're having the entree, which we're going to have a liquid lunch, figuratively speaking. This is pure water right here. Trying to stay hydrated because I got a flight to Chicago tomorrow to go to the food show, the National Restaurant Association's Hotel, Motel, and Restaurant Show. It's going to be really fun. I will not have a show tomorrow or Friday here. I'll have a replay, but I will be doing, it will not be on video, on audio only. You can listen to it at spoony.com. Go to the listen live button. You can listen at my regular time, which is 1 to 3 Central, 2 to 4 Eastern, or you can go to Spreaker and pick it up later in the day if you missed an episode from last week. I'm not sure what we're going to play yet. If I fail to tell Ron, he'll just probably pick a really bad episode and embarrass me. But yeah, I'm so excited. I'm from New York, and I love the state of New York, the New York City. I really do. The intensity that is Manhattan. It's the best place in the world unless you have no money, in which case it's probably the hardest place to live. But I love Chicago. It's probably my all-time favorite food town. I mean, you have Portillo's for hot dogs. You get beef sandwiches. You have there's just so much stuff there. All these wonderful restaurants, Girl and Goat. You have all the Rick Bayless restaurants. You have I can't even tell you. They're everywhere you turn. There's something delicious to eat, and I like it. If I didn't stay so active, I'd be a happy fat man. As it is, I'm a happy man who's getting fat, but I'd be really fat right now. I just can't. I can't resist. I mean, I can not eat a ton, but I can't resist trying food. So again, Laura Geen will be calling in just a minute with Wine Down Wednesday. But in the meantime, I want to continue talking about the show a little bit. and there's oh shoot, I forgot to mention the James Beard Award winners last year as well. Last week. So my apologies for that. I'll try to get to it at the end of the show. But the show is amazing. The way they have it separated, they have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 4 different halls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actually. And they take up the main 2 convention halls, which by themselves are enormous. I mean, one of them has got to be by itself 2 acres. Maybe it's huge. It's got to be, I don't know, 1,000 feet by. Yeah, 1,000 feet. I don't know, 1,000 feet. It's ridiculously large. It's hard to see end to end, like corner to corner. Because there's much crap in your way with all the booze and stuff like that. But it's just a difficult room to even gauge. Oh, it looks like Laura's on here. Oh, I haven't had her on there too long. That's good. Laura, are you there? Hello, Laura, are you there? Oh. And I'm not getting anything. Hey, Jeff. Hefe. Jeff. Can you make sure the phones are muted? I'm sorry. No, so one of the things I'm supposed to do before I come in is unmute the phones, and there she is. Laura, are you there?
It's totally my bad.
No.
I am here. How are you?
I'm good. So you know what? Here's the thing. I'm so used to running the show on my own. No, look. Hey, don't say you're sorry, Jeff. You're busting your butt over there editing. You do that. I'll take the blame for not unmuting because I typically unmute it and leave it unmuted and then unmute it in here. So Jeff's trying to be helpful and make sure I don't screw up and not mute this between calls because I've done that before and it's not very good. So, but Laura, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
You know, it's Wine Down Wednesday. I haven't had any wine yet, but I'm sure it's coming later. So I'm doing pretty well. I really am. Yeah. It's been a fun day.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's a busy week as usual, right?
Nah, you know, I sit around eating bonbons all day and watching Oprah. So.
I know better.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's been a good week
we
though.
We know better.
It's funny, Jeff. I must have been a little lackluster this morning. Jeff's like, "Are you going through male menopause?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm just a little tired." He goes, "Okay, just checking." But I told him once the camera goes on, you cue up the mic, I'm ready to go. And my energy level's coming back up. So I it's funny. It sounds weird, but I kind of live to do the show every day. It's fun. I like it. I get to spread my passion and hopefully inspire some people to try some foods and cook some things they've never done before. So that's all I can have fun. Oh, hey, before we get too far into wine, both of us having been lived in San Diego over various times, there's some cool stuff going on this weekend. So you might, I don't know if is your brother still out there or is he's in,
no, he moved here.
That's what I thought. Okay, so
he lives here. We're next door neighbors now. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I thought you told me that. But so there's if you're out there though, Miles Uehara, if you're there, I know you're there. If you're actually he's going to Alaska. I don't know if he's there or not. But they have an artisan table guest chef dinner, and this is Jason McLeod. He's a 2 Michelin star chef that's going to be doing a dinner at the lodge at Torrey Pines. And
nice.
Yeah, along with executive chef Jeff Jackson, and that's cool. They have we missed the Taste of the Derby party, but there's tacos, tequila, and beer. Oh, that was May 4th. I missed a couple. Man, they had a discounted wine tasting at the Wine Bank. How did we miss that? Anyway, there's some cool stuff going on, folks. Look it up. If you live in San Diego County, I love that area so much. It's so diverse, and let me tell you.
There's plenty to do.
I like Tex-Mex.
Right?
I really do. But what I really miss is a true Baja style carne asada burrito.
Well, that's true. You can't get them anywhere but there.
And it's not true carne asada. It's actually grilled fajita meat. But it's so good, so good. I don't have hangovers anymore. That's hangover food. We don't need that, do we?
No, hangover food. No, I like the chicken soup for hangovers anyway. The chicken tortilla soup that they make is awesome.
Like called
in San Diego.
I love it.
Yeah, that's my favorite. With extra avocado.
If I ever go somewhere like a Latin country, or if I go to a restaurant where it's mostly Spanish speaking. and I'm not sure what to get.
Yeah.
There are two things I go for. One is the what's it called? I'll think of it. But the other one is caldo de pollo, like basically just chicken soup, because I've never had bad chicken soup at a Mexican restaurant ever, or a Latin restaurant.
Right.
It's just that rich chicken broth, and what's cool is they typically, if you go to a really, I don't want to say authentic, but a more rustic restaurant, then the chicken pieces are just chopped with the bone in it, so you kind of have to pick the piece up on your spoon and kind of bite the meat. But it's just so, it's a way to be connected to the food, and I don't know, it tastes better when I eat with my fingers, I think it tastes better. So.
It's so much better because we have one that opened here, and I ordered it, and it's all Tex-Mex, and it was just like super spicy. It wasn't what I was thinking. I'm like, I just want the soup. You just have the soup.
Yeah. So my other go-to is Tampaqueña. Do you know what that one is?
No, I don't know that one.
So Tampaqueña is basically fajita meat, but they don't. Yeah, it's a fajita steak. They don't cut it, and they serve the steak on the fajita skillet with the beans and rice, and they serve tortillas. But I just like that because I can have the steak, beans, and rice. I don't have to have it in with the tortillas, and I actually like the act of cutting burnt flesh, or grilled meat, I should say.
There you go.
I know that was a.
See, more of a carnivore than I am. I can do chicken, but sometimes I don't go all the way to the steak.
I
so
understand.
that's it. But I'm not the chef that you are, Patrick.
Well,
you're such an awesome chef.
Hence the svelte. You and Tom say slim and healthy, and I'm slowly gaining back all the weight I lost, slowly but surely. I need to get my bike out and start riding. But
Get
hey.
on the bike. You need to come visit us and start biking. The trails are calling you.
Oh, and I used to love riding the trail, just even the concrete trail that goes all the way down to Fayetteville. Yeah. That's always that's a nice ride. It's really wonderful. But it is Wine Down Wednesday. I suppose we should do a little talking about wine.
We should. We should talk about wine, and yes, of course. And we previously talked about wine with food, and it's going into the nice weather. So you mentioned canned wine, and I'm like, is it sacrilegious?
I
it is, but it isn't.
I asked
like
you that.
I have it like all I can think about is like traveling through France or Italy and grabbing that bottle of wine with your baguette and some cheese and opening it and sitting in a piazza or on a park bench and drinking it, with plastic cups even, but out of a bottle. So now this trend of having canned wine is just so foreign, but it's so American. You know what I mean? It's just so American.
Uh-huh.
So we actually carry a couple canned wines. We have the Great Oregon Wine Company Pinot Grigio in a can, and they're really cute.
Really?
The cans are super cute. And we also have Ramona, which is an Italian product, which is a sparkling. It's basically a wine spritzer, but it's flavored, so it's like grapefruity. So
cool.
For those people I feel like it's for people who truly aren't real wine drinkers. Some of these, I'm sure the wine companies are going to slap my wrist, but the Oregon,
okay.
The Great Oregon Wine Company, their Pinot Grigio and they do a Pinot Noir are not bad. I can't drink it out of a can. Personally, I can't drink wine out of a can. It's too much like a beer or a soda, but you can pour it into a glass and it's not bad. The advantage is, I am sure, it's way cheaper than bottling and doing the labeling and the corking and all the things that we talked about before. You can buy a little I think they come in 4-packs, little 4-packs of it, and you can take it on a picnic, or you can take it to the beach if you're in San Diego. Or you can take it skiing. You can put it in your backpack. If you're backpacking, it's not heavy like glass. So, there's a lot of advantages to it. And a ton of these wine companies are coming out with rosés in cans. Like, rosé is the thing. And I really do think it's a millennial thing. Because, the holler that opened at the A Street Market, they actually, the only wine they have is canned. So I personally don't drink the wine there, but people do.
Well, I'm thinking of from another standpoint as well. The weight factor with the bottle makes it not easily transportable. And look, you're in a place in Northwest Arkansas where everybody goes outdoors to do their thing weekly or daily, if not twice daily. A ton of cyclists and lots of hikers. Matter of fact, one of our friends, the common people we know, she hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Oh yeah, Appalachian. So yes, this is fabulous for backpackers. That's what I was saying. You could backpack some wine, and if you're not, because it's smaller, it's more condensed than a beer, and it would last longer too, I would think.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's part of it. Yeah. Well, you could also so packing it out. Also, it's easier. You just crush the can down, stick it back in the pack. But I think that's part of it. But you're right. I don't know if it's. I have mixed feelings about it. I've had a couple that are okay. They weren't bad. And
yeah,
I mean
they're okay.
Yeah, I mean they were good. One was like it was good. I'd say good, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Wine in a can is just wrong. And it's just wrong.
It is. It's just a weird concept, but it is, like I said, truly American. It's a cool concept. And hey, if you're a boater and you're out on a boat, yeah, you can throw these in a cooler. This is great. I think that they have their place. I totally do, and I can see it. And the thing about it, it's limited varieties, so they don't make every variety in cans. So you're looking at mostly rosés, Pinot Grigios, Chardonnays, maybe Pinot Noirs. They're not, the really big wines, they're not going to come out like that.
No.
These are young wines that are drinkable, that you can chill down. These are great in a can, because you don't have to have something, this is not that wine that you're using to pair. This is a picnic wine, basically. This is a wine that's convenient and is a picnic wine, and I think it's a great idea. You can store it easily. It's lightweight for backpackers, for boaters, for skiers, for bikers. I mean, it's great, actually. You can grab a couple of those and go ride the trails hard and have a wine when you stop. That's a cool thing.
No, exactly.
So I think it's a great concept. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them improving the wines.
You're backtracking now. You're backtracking. You're afraid you've offended someone was going to give you a free dinner next time, Tommy, and you go to Napa, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm teasing.
But you know what? It's supply and demand. Like, if people want it, you're going to have it. So, I think that the wine coolers do pretty good in the cans. The actual wine doesn't sell as well,
As long as they don't come out with anything like Zima in a can, I'm okay with it. Because I'm telling you, I don't know what were they thinking? That's like Coke Clear or Pepsi Clear.
Remember?
Vaguely, and I'm trying to forget.
Ago. Yeah.
Do you remember all those failed beverages over the years, though? I remember one time we were somewhere, somebody asked for a wine spritzer, right? And they gave them a Zima with grenadine. That's what they gave. A Zima, and they poured it into a glass and added grenadine to it over ice. I was like, I think you're missing the point. I know you're a pub,
right?
But the fact that you don't even have one, even rosé, I mean, not even rosé. You don't have the Behringer, Blush Chablis back there, really?
But
I mean, at least something, not Zima. Anything. Look, even that's better. Look, Boone's Farm is better than Zima. I'm sorry.
They don't make that anymore, right? That's like a thing of the past.
Boone's Farm, I know.
That's dating you, right? We're aged.
Well,
if we know what that is.
When I lived in Aspen, where you lived as well, but prior to me being there, they used to have what was it, the Howling Wolf or the something? I forgot what the name of the bar was, but they had the worst wine competition.
Little Annie's? No.
It was a kind of a couple streets down off the hill.
We lived there at different times. I lived there in the 80s. You lived there in the 90s.
Yeah. So,
I bet the bar didn't exist in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was funny. They had the worst wine competition. They'd have a master sommelier and some other sommeliers from around town, and they'd have a couple of restaurant owners, and everybody bring their worst bottle of wine, and they'd, and not a ruined bottle of wine, but just the worst. And I think I was saying in an earlier segment today, I was talking about, I think Boone's Farm. What was it? The tequila? No, the Boone's Farm. I don't know.
Lancers.
No, it wasn't even strawberry. It wasn't strawberry. It wasn't Strawberry Hill or something like that. Because I think that's the first thing I ever got a little tipsy on. But it was like their It was a coconut flavored wine. That's the thing. It was the weirdest thing, but it won worst wine 2 years in a row. That's all I can tell you. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
I bet that
if,
did.
If Zima's worse than that, Richard Brand says Zima in a can would be excellent. If you puncture the can to ventilate, you can pour it down the drain faster. Thank you, Richard. Thanks for agreeing.
Yes.
So anyway, we were going to talk about one other thing, right? So I love to tell stories, especially when it relates to food and beverage, and I like to hear stories about people's memories of special meals or events. And I asked you, do you have any stories or even just memorable meals or settings where you had a glass of wine or there was wine and food, and it was just kind of it's a memory you'll never shake, whether good, bad, or ugly,
right.
That you want to share with us?
Well, okay, so I was talking about traveling. I have a couple of stories about wine and traveling, of course, not just one. But this one was in my head because you mentioned that. We were in Florence, and Tom and I wanted to go to the Palace of the Pitti, and it was closed, or it was about to close, and the guard or guide was saying, you really should come back tomorrow so you can see the whole thing. So we're like, okay. I think it was our first or second day in Florence, and we were just like, we'll just sit on the wall in front of it and open a bottle of wine, and we drank it with plastic cups. And we sat there and cheers. I have a picture of us sitting there. We are laughing, and we're watching the art students come in and out of the Art Institute right across the street. And it's one of the best pictures that we've ever taken of ourselves in a selfie.
Oh, that's
awesome. And here
awesome.
we are toasting and sitting on the wall doing literally nothing, just drinking some wine. Basically, if we had canned wine, we would drink canned wine. But we had wine in a bottle, and we used plastic like thermos cups to drink it. It's a pretty memorable experience in both of our minds, and I just love thinking about that. And the picture of that day is on the wall in our business. So
you know what? I think I've seen that, haven't I?
Always point at it, and they're like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's me." And they're like, "You look happy." I'm like, "I am happy." So I like that. That's a great memory for me.
That's awesome. So I have I just graduated culinary school. I've been cooking for a long time, but I just graduated in the 90s. Anyway, so the celebration was a tour to Europe, and I'd lived in Cologne for a long time. I went and visited that family, my host family, and we were going to go to Ibiza after, and not the wild part of Ibiza. They had a home in Ibiza in the hills, it's called I believe the city is Jesus, actually. So they needed this automobile taken there. It was a little Audi, this really sporty little thing, or not an Audi, but a Renault. And do they make those anymore? Renault, remember those? That was a zippy little car. Anyway, so they said, we had to have it there in like 5 days. So packed it up. We went to, first was to Paris. And in culinary school, I had learned about a wine. Oh man, I'm not going to remember it now. It's going to kill me. It's a wine that's Surly, right? It's grown in the Loire Valley. It's near the ocean, less than 10 miles inland. And so what happens is the salt that's naturally in the air permeates the grape, and when they because it's Surly, they basically don't take the yeast out. It's on the lee. So when they pour the wine, you can't smell it. You could almost smell it's almost a saltiness to it, but when you drink it, there's just this tiny hint of salt. And so one of the classic pairings that I always wanted to try was that with some sort of fresh seafood on the half shell, like a mussel. So
that does sound delicious.
Oh, it was awesome. And so it's it's Muscadet is the wine. Wow, I got it. Not Moscato, Muscadet, which is like a medium dry wine. And in Paris, it's late afternoon. Start at the Eiffel Tower, walk down to towards the Arc de Triomphe. Anyway, there's where this one street crosses the Tuileries. It's Rue de Suffren, I think. There's a restaurant on the corner called Restaurant de Suffren. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, named after the street, can't be too bad. It's in Paris, can't be too bad. And it's a restaurant. I'm really hungry. Let's eat. So they seat us, and this, of course, the maitre d' is this guy with a big handlebar mustache. It's awesome. He's got the really high waiter's bistro, the French style waiter's bistro, and he seats us. He speaks no English. And then, I'm like, darn it. So I'm looking at the menu, and they had a prefix menu. We all get ready to order, and this lovely lady comes by who is his wife, and she spoke fluent English. She'd gone to university in the United States. And she said, is there something, you look a little concerned. Is there something I can help you with? And I said, actually, I would really love, I'm going to order, this, this, and this with a craft wine, just the set. But I would really love Muscadet wine with little neck clams on the half shell. And they just happened to have little neck clams and a particular bottle of Muscadet, which was really good. And I'll tell you what, that first bite, right, so, I took a little sip of wine, kind of understand the flavor, eat that first bite of shellfish, and then took another little sip of wine. I will remember that flavor forever. I'd been.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was one of the first things that.
That's a memorable flavor. Come on, yes.
Well, it's
that's
just
perfect.
It was one of the first pairings I'd learned about in culinary school, and I just wanted to try it. I don't know why it haunted me, kind of. But the first meal I had in Paris since I had been there when I went first time around in high school years onward, the first time I went back, I was able to have that meal, and it was pretty cool. It was delicious, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
It didn't suck.
It didn't suck. We like that.
Oh.
Explanation.
There was another that same day. We were walking around and it got late. And I'll tell you, restaurants do not stay open late in Paris, by the way. And we did find a kind of a I don't know what it was, a cafe pub kind of that had some food. That was the only place we could find that still served food. It's 10 o'clock at night or 10:30. And I looked at the menu, and they had basically a limited menu, but what they had lasagna on there. And of course, I couldn't read I could read the rest, but I didn't really pay attention, so I ordered lasagna. And it was one of those happy accidents. I had ordered a kind of a light Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
And the dish that came out was this spinach noodle salmon lasagna with a cream sauce that was out of this world. It was unbelievable, and the Pinot was just heavy enough, just strong enough to cut through all the fat and that flavor without overpowering it. Okay, my mouth is watering right now because I can taste the lasagna.
That sounds awesome. You're watering. My mouth is watering. So this is what I love about you, Patrick, is you can literally remember the way things taste. And your taste buds guide you, which is fabulous. That's why you're such a connoisseur when it comes to food and knowing what pairs well. That's so important because, I think about, great wines, and you think about the food that goes with the wine. I always just think about the wine. So I'm less good at putting the food with the wine. I remember the wine. I don't remember what I was eating. So that's what I truly love. I think it's a gift, and that's why you are where you are. Teaching others.
I absolutely love it. And what's funny is I don't really think about the spirit side of things or a wine when I'm getting ready to eat. It's kind of an afterthought. But then once the thought occurs, I'm like, oh, I should probably, if I'm ordering something nice, especially, I should really be thoughtful about the wine I'm ordering. One of the ones I've been trying to pair lately is Grenache. And
yes,
because it's got a particular flavor especially a particular finish. And Malbec is another. Malbec's even a little harder because it's somewhere between an Amarone and a Cabernet. I don't know how to define it, but
it's earthy too. It has an earthy aftertaste to the Malbecs, which is different with certain foods. So that one to me is hard to pair. Like I think it would be fine with a steak, with meat, like you were saying, but it's harder to refine the other tastes with it, for me. That's why I tend to do the softer wines or more complicated, like a Pinot Noir or something like that. And it's easier for me to identify the foods with that. Or like a big cab. If you're going to drink a big cab, you want to have something big to eat as well. Mm-hmm. I'm really into the Italian drier wines right now because it's starting to be summer. And so for food, what are we eating? Fresh. I'm eating fresh. I'm getting fresh tomatoes and herbs and, onions and sauteing something really quick and maybe throwing it over pasta or potatoes and having it with,
All right, so
something dry,
you
Italian.
I love like a pasta primavera in the summertime, or just salads that are grain based, or with a little some sort of a lighter protein, on top, grilled fish or whatever. But the hardest
shrimp or something, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was on this mission for a couple of years. I never quite got there. Pairing asparagus, plain asparagus, grilled or or steamed. Pairing that with a particular wine is very difficult. But I think I'm going to go. I used to try to mask the flavor. I'm going to go start trying some of the white blends from Graves. See, because they're clean, crisp, a little herbaceous, but they're drier. Like you really taste almost the sourness in the grape. I'm gonna try and do that. As a matter of fact, I may sneak some asparagus into the food show and try that, because there's all these wine tastings you can do. Not like I drink alcohol or anything. Actually, I can't.
Okay.
I can't mix too many.
That's a great idea, because you can do asparagus so well, and even if you put a little sauce, or even if you just blanch it, or however you're going to do it. We like to grill it a lot, because we like that grill flavor on it, and it does taste good with those herbaceous whites. But how about trying it with a Pinot Grigio?
That would be good too.
Have you tried that?
I haven't, but it sounds really good. We're going to run out of time here in a bit, but I do the same thing. Instead, I don't always want to fire up the grill though, so I'll just take it, toss it in olive oil, salt and pepper, and then throw it on a sheet pan and put it at like 450, and just kind of cook it really quickly under that in that intense heat. And don't overcook it though, because you end up with it's shoestring basically. It's
right.
But all right, hey,
you don't want to do that.
Laura, I don't know what you guys are doing this weekend. I'm sure it'll be something fantastic. Give Tom a big hug for me. Tell everybody I said hello. Thank you so much.
Will do.
Always appreciate your input.
All right.
You have a great wind down Wednesday and the rest of the week. All right, thank you. Well, that's it, folks. One more week, a very short week for me. It was an easy week for me. That was a really fun show. Thanks for listening. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. You know where to find us. At Spoony Radio on all social media, Spoony.com, and listen for me at the food show this weekend, NRA in Chicago. Here we come.